Hi, my name is Nishant Lingamneni. I'm a program manager in the Windows Partner and Ecosystem team. Today I'm going to talk to you about how you can prepare for security in Windows 8. This is a smaller version of the presentation I gave in Type A, so it's going to be about 5 to 10 minutes long. For the full-length slides and all the details, you can go to the Windows Ecosystem Summit website and get the slides there. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to start by talking about the research study that we did in the Windows 8 planning process timeframe, where we talked to our customers as well as to our partners to understand what we should be doing with respect to security in Windows 8. The three main areas that boiled down to in security were protecting and managing threats, protecting sensitive data, and protecting access to resources. Let's dissect these one by one and we can get into the details then. The first one is quite simple. Malware can compromise core operating system components, which can adversely impact business and personal data. We've seen data breaches in the consumer as well as enterprise segment in different parts of the world, and we know that malware can cause major issues to business as well as personal data. The next segment is the sensitive data component. We see that IT needs to protect data which is at rest in an environment with a porous network perimeter, requiring data protection by location, device, and access method. This is another area where you said that we should be putting more investments in. We made investments in BitLocker in Windows Vista and Windows 7, and you asked us to take it forward by protecting sensitive data more easily in the Windows 8 timeframe. And finally, you asked us to protect access to resources so that IT needs to address a broad segment of mobile workers who travel, work from home, work from their phones, and use hotspots around the globe. Given that these guys need access to resources while not being present in the main office, you have to provide the right level of access to the right level of resources. With that, let me explain how these roll into actual investments that we've made in Windows 8 security. So here we have the three main research findings. We have protecting and managing threats, protect sensitive data, protect access to resources. These three things would translate into three features in Windows 8, three feature areas in Windows 8 called malware resistance, pervasive encryption, and modern access control. Once we decided the feature areas in Windows 8, we went ahead and asked some focus groups about what they thought about these feature areas. We talked to partners in the Technology Adoption Program, the Desktop Advisory Council, and we asked partners such as yourself. The focus group findings were as follows. The first feature area, which is malware resistance in Windows 8, one of the quotations I have from our partner is that this is the end of boot sector viruses as we know them. The other quote I could not put on the slide today was that this feature is the magic beans. This feature essentially, according to the customer, would solve a lot of the problems that they had today. I'll explain what the feature is in the coming slides. The next feature area is pervasive encryption. We want to provide encryption more pervasively, and the quote we have from the customer is that encryption typically was an afterthought, but in Windows 8 we've made it part of the build process, which is exactly what we were planning to do. We were really happy to hear this from a customer. The last feature area is modern access control, what we call the virtual smart card infrastructure piece. The customer thought that the virtual smart card infrastructure piece makes it easier for users to get what they want without giving up safety, and that's really what we were trying to do by providing the right level of access to resources for a largely mobile audience. Now let me talk to you about the fundamentals that are required for lighting up security in Windows 8, namely UEFI and Trusted Platform Module. Let me talk about the investments we've made in these two areas, and then we will go into details of these features. So you've heard us say UEFI is important many times. Well, I'm going to repeat it. UEFI is very important. For those of you who've seen the presentations at Build, and for those of you who've played with the Samsung Nike tablets we gave away at Build, you saw that the OEM's logo was flashing while Windows was loading. Things like that. The application store which you saw in Windows 8, all of these are made possible because of the fundamental call UEFI. UEFI also has several key security benefits, such as secured boot. It allows for support for eDrive for BitLocker. It allows for network unlock support in BitLocker, as well as WDS multicast. UEFI is very, very important. Therefore, it is a Windows certification requirement. And of course, there are other benefits that UEFI provides, such as SOC support, user interface value proposition has improved. You also have support for greater than 2.2 terabyte system disks, seamless boot is improved, things like that. Suffice to say, UEFI is very important. It is used by almost all the security features that we have in Windows 8. I will cover that in 1 second. Coming to the Trusted Platform module, we would love to say that TPMs are required in all sorts of form factors. We can't say that just yet. However, I would like to say that we believe TPM is very, very, very important. In fact, we would strongly recommend that you ship PCs with TPMs. The value that we think that we bring with TPM is that it enables commercial grade security via physical and virtual key location from the operating system. The TPM 1.2 spec is now a mature standard with years of deployment and hardening. Improvements we've made in TPM provisioning times lowers the deployment barriers that used to exist. And the TCG standard evolution, now that we have TPM 2.2, which is what we, Microsoft, refer to TCG TPM next, we refer to that as TPM 2.0. It has algorithm extensibility that allows for implementation and deployment in additional countries. It also has security scenarios that are compatible with TPM 1.2 or 2.0. The next thing I'd like to say is in Windows 8, TPM 2.0 support enables implementation choice. It is up to you to use either a discrete TPM or a firmware-based secure executable environment. That could be using the Intel Security Engine. For more details on that, please talk to your representatives at Intel, or using ARM Trust Zone. For that, you can talk to the ARM folks. TPM is a certification requirement for platforms that qualify for connected standby. So what this means is every connected standby platform will ship with a TPM, be it discrete or virtual. Let me give you a little more detail about TPM 2.0, and we can move on to the other features. So the goals from a Windows perspective are that Windows TPM features, the new APIs work uniformly on TPM 1.2 or 2.0. We've worked hard at this so that we can enable a smooth ecosystem transition from TPM 1.2 to 2.0. The value that we think we bring from a Windows perspective with our investments in TPM is that improvements in TPM provisioning time lowers deployment barriers. The simplified design for software applications requiring TPM. Security scenarios are now compatible with either TPM 1.2 or 2.0. This will allow OEMs to preserve existing TPM investments in migrating to TPM 2.0 at their own pace with Windows 8. So that brings us to the end of the discussion on the fundamentals required for security in Windows 8. Now let's talk about how these interplay with the security features and the dependencies that they have on TPM and UEFI. Here are all the features that are security related with respect to Windows 8. You can see that almost all of them require the TPM, take advantage of the TPM to have a differentiated experience. And you'll see that all of them require UEFI to really shine. Suffice to say that TPM and UEFI are very, very important if you want to provide security functionality in Windows 8 PCs. With that, I'd like to recap. We talked about the pervasive encryption, which is basically BitLocker investments, eDrive investments, as well as BitLocker network unlock investments. We've made BitLocker encryption more part of the build process itself as opposed to an afterthought. In malware resistance, we talked about how TPM gives users advantages with respect to security functionalities. We talked about secured boot, measured boot, and early launch of anti-malware. The details of all three of them are on my slides on the Windows Ecosystem Summit website. We touched on the virtual smart card infrastructure, which is part of the modern access control feature area, and how that can help provide the right level of access to resources for mobile workers in the enterprise. With that, I'd like to end with a discussion on the call to action. My call to action is quite simple. It is for you, our partner, to invest in these technologies to source, build, and ship UEFI, TPM, as well as eDrives. We would like you to have roadmap discussions with, depending on what your priority and focus is, with component vendors, with firmware vendors, with original equipment manufacturers and other partners of your choice, and work together to build great Windows 8 systems. If you have further questions, please refer to this website. It has links to publicly available documentation on secured boot and early launch of anti-malware, as well as eDrive. For a copy of the slides, go to the event site URL. With that, I thank you for listening to me. My name is Nishant Lingamneni.